Welcome to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 from sunny Las Vegas. We had rain last night, we had some flooding, and we had a cold front. It's under 100 degrees, but not for these players who are coming up on their last game of the first part of this tournament. Starting tomorrow, we will get the knockout stage where 30 teams vie for the championship. Seth Greenberg, Alvaro Martin, George Sedano will join us. Congratulations, Coach. It took all these years, but today we have Coaches Appreciation Night. You were a coach at the college level for 22 years, many more years as an assistant as well. So we'll be focusing on that today. We've got Utah and Miami, a great matchup. But let's talk about coaching. What makes coaching so hard? What makes coaching so great?
Well, coach is a great profession because you help get someone somewhere they can't get themselves. But what makes a great coach today, to me, in my opinion, is you must be able to communicate. You must be able to connect. You must be able to earn trust, because coaching today, trust doesn't come with a title. All right, there are three things. You got to have good people, develop real relationships, and earn trust.
And you notice the 10 coaches that are going to be here, including for the Lakers-Knicks game, where you're going to have a number of really outstanding coaches, including the head of the Coaches Association, Rick Carlisle. Now, let's take a look at the two young coaches here, starting with Alex Jensen, who was a great player under Rick Majerus in Utah, G League Coach of the Year in 2013. He is now in his fourth season as an assistant with Utah, and he's now part of the USA basketball staff coming up this summer under Greg Popovich.
Yeah, Alex Jensen is a terrific communicator. He obviously has experience from being a player. He played for one of the best teachers in the game in Rick Majerus in college, and he's working right now with Quinn Snyder, who's maybe one of the great communicators in the NBA. So he's got a rich basketball background, and he's got credibility at being a former player.
And of course, on the other side, another young prospect. He looks like Eric Spoelstra. He acts like Eric Spoelstra. He's coming up the video coordinator position. But listen to this. He is both the video coordinator and supervises player development. Does Eric Glass ever sleep?
I don't know if he ever sleeps, but if you think about the Miami Heat organization and where Eric came from as a video coordinator, a guy that helped Dwayne Wade develop his jump shot in that part of his career. And then obviously when you're doing video, you're not only coaching your team and evaluating your team, but you're evaluating the whole league. So you have a great feeling and an understanding of what everyone's doing, just your organization.
And let's not forget that Eric Spoelstra, yes, the owner of a couple of NBA championships, as a coach of the Miami Heat, spent 13 years as an assistant, as a video coordinator before ascending into the head coaching job in 2008. So there's a lot of work, a lot of hours involved. And there he is, one of the finer coaches in the NBA right now, as we're ready for the start of this matchup between the Utah Jazz. Of course, Utah had its own tournament. Earlier, before we started, they won 2 out of 3. Here, they've split games. Miami's looking for their first win here in Vegas.
And winning and losing really isn't a big part of the Summer League, in my opinion. It's more getting a chance to see players, getting a chance to see players that are returning, that have developed. As a coach, you're developing young coaches and giving them a better understanding of moving over those 12 inches and having to make decisions and run practices. And let's face it, the Summer League has been a meeting place for the NBA.
Yes.
These 12 days, coaches, players, former players, veteran players, general managers, and owners, they've all arrived in Vegas and having this shared experience. It's made the NBA a 12-month season.
And you're gauging the success of the Summer League in many ways, but one of the ways I measure it is the amount of veterans that are coming to cheer younger teammates from college or just be part of the chemistry of the team. Yes.
They're having ownership. They're helping mentor the next generation, and some of those guys might end up as coaches. You're seeing more and more former players getting into the coaching profession. I saw Sheldon Williams the other day. Shane Battier helps out with the Miami Heat. So you're seeing people that are starting their second career, a new career as a coach.
And Duncan Robinson opens up with a 3. That's been his specialty now, over 70% from 3. He's leading Miami, the Summer Miami Heat, in scoring.
And Duncan Robinson, he is a world-class shooter. Started at Division III school, Williams College, and did a really good job at Washington. Maybe one of the best technicians and coaches in college basketball, in John Beilein.
A great find by Chet Kammerer, and of course, a tremendous performance here in the Summer League as Bam Adebayo brings the ball up court in his second. summer experience in Vegas. For a player like Adebayo, of course, this is a chance to show the development of himself as a player, particularly on the offensive side.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo, he's going to rebound the ball. He's going to run the court. He'll protect the rim. And, you know, this summer he can't be afraid to make mistakes. He's got to just continue to play. The catches at the high post, drive it or score it. He's got a great attitude and a great work ethic.
As Diamond Stone fouls Yante Maten.
Yeah, Yante Maten from the University of Georgia. Maten is I was surprised he did not get drafted. Maten has a physical body. He can step out and shoot the ball to the three-point line. He can play in the mid-post. Really just a very complete, versatile player. And I think he's a guy that'll end up with a two-way, and I think he's a guy that'll end up playing in the NBA.
How's his outside shot?
He can shoot it to the college three-point line. He's going to have to move it out a step. Can really drive it from the high post, and he's got a little bit of a toughness about him. As Shane Battier, that wouldn't be a bad guy tutoring you a little bit. Maybe trying to get you to play some D. When Shane worked for us, he was big into the analytics. So Shane's life's been pretty good.
Grayson Allen all the way for the dunk. Boy, he had some bad intentions. As soon as he regained control of that ball, he had only one thought in mind.
Grayson Allen is a big-time athlete. Plays hard, plays with a chip, can shoot the ball, and he can play more than one position. He can play on the ball or he can play off the wing, which is very important.
Stone with a rebound. And the soft touch and the turnover. He's lost some weight. Diamond Stone looks in great shape.
Yeah, Grayson Allen, and when you think about Grayson Allen, you know that he can shoot the three, but he is a physical, hard driver who can finish with authority. Grayson Allen, I think he's going to be a nice compliment to Donovan Mitchell. And everyone gets so caught up in, you know, what happened at Duke. That thing is in the past. He plays hard. He's competitive. He's tough. I think that Utah saw that. And let's face it, I mean, Quinn Snyder really has a good understanding of who he is. And I think he's going to be in the league a long time. I really like Grayson Allen's game, and I think he's in a good place, in a good organization, and in a good locker room, and that's very important.
Nice pass. Very hard pass, and Diamond Stone does it justice. Lewis with the pass.
Diamond Stone moving to an open area on penetration, and Stone came out of high school with a big reputation. Came out early. There's the area where he's got to improve. He's got to be up to contest shots at the rim, but he's got nice hands and the ability to finish. Hardest thing for these coaches in summer league, the guys coaching, is that they have limited exposure to these players, and they've got to put in some type of system in a very quick period of time. Now, Utah's a little different because they had their summer league. So they had a small mini camp, and the coaches had a better understanding of which players, where guys want to catch the ball, and give guys a chance to play to their strengths.
Open shot missed by Robinson. We weren't expecting that. Allen draws the foul.
Duncan Robinson's a guy that John Beilein did a great job with at Michigan, because he let him play off penetration. He ran a lot of good stuff for him, getting him off screens where he can get spaced out. And he understands spacing, because the one thing about Michigan basketball with John Beilein is they played with great spacing. And in the NBA, he's going to be a spot-up guy. You'll see him a lot during the course of this game in the corners. And he's a big-time shooter, pretty good passer. He's got good size. And I would not be shocked to see him get a two-way deal, and kind of been a steal so far for the summer league.
You said Utah had their own tournament. Well, Miami went to Sacramento to the Golden One for the California Classic. And there, Duncan averaged about 11 points, 57% from the field. He was just getting started. George Niang guarding Adebayo and making it difficult.
Yeah, George Niang is high basketball IQ, terrific passer and skilled. Great footwork.
And a stronger body than last year, for sure.
George Niang, we interviewed Jeff Van Gundy yesterday, and he said George Niang should be in this league. His understanding of how to play, his feel for the game, his skill set, forget about it. It's not, you know, the NBA is not a track meet. You got to have some skills. George Niang, that dude's got some skills.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And One a Day with Nature's Medley.
George Sedano back with you here in Las Vegas between the Heat and the Jazz. Seth, you mentioned some stuff about Duncan Robinson earlier. Well, he did get a two-way contract. It's been confirmed to me by the Miami Heat that Duncan Robinson does get a two-way deal from Miami. And we have an injury note for Utah. Tony Bradley will not be playing today. He told me himself that he's got a little issue with the left wrist from the last game, got dinged up a little bit, out for precautionary reasons. Alvaro and Seth, back to you.
Thank you very much. So we have Woj bombs and we have George bombs here.
Wait a second. What about my bomb? I mean, George just reported it. I was like a clairvoyant.
One of two-way contracts that a team likes to hand out, and Miami has the habit and philosophy of not having two, always keeping a slot open just in case.
Because guys are going to get cut. I mean, it's actually smart to wait. You're going to see the market open up, and you're going to see guys develop, and you're going to get a chance to see more players that maybe aren't on your summer league roster.
Walton with the interception after being level. And that was a block. But Adebayo makes sure they get the points anyway. They want the shot clock adjusted to 23. What a steal. That's after he got floored. Ooh, that was close.
Walton, a very alert defender who can really put it on the floor, had a terrific career at Michigan.
It's too bad Tony Bradley's not playing second top scorer here. A youngster that's made also some strides with his body, ready for his second season in the NBA. As you see, a nice shot, post shot by Stanton Kidd. Early offense.
And that's the hardest thing for these guys. They want to make an impression, but advantage, disadvantage, when to attack, when to not to attack. Right there's Dejounte Mate, establish himself in the low block. And that's what I mean. He's got an offensive versatility. He can early post. He can step out and shoot the ball to the three-point line. He can drive it from the high post. Dejounte Mate is an interesting prospect. Taj Webster from Nebraska rolling in here.
And New Zealand. Yeah. And Isaac Haas coming in for Utah.
He's a mountain masquerading as a man.
He is the largest in terms of weight of any of the players of all 30 teams here this summer in Vegas. You see a quick foul on Keelan Martin. He's still wearing that brace in his right elbow. After
he got injured right in the NCAA tournament first round. Keelan Martin, another guy for the Jazz that is an interesting prospect and a potential guy that could be a two-way guy or sign with someone. Martin can really score. He's a terrific baseline player who can shoot the basketball.
Adebayo was calling a timeout. They finally see him, but they're going to call it a jump ball instead. Going to be Allen and Adebayo. Adebayo, of course, the sort of prototypical center that the NBA is looking for right now. Not necessarily the 7-footer. Someone incredibly agile.
He's got a great capacity to work. He's a terrific teammate. He has a skill set that transfers. He has the ability to rebound the ball, and he can finish.
And that is a three by Rashad Vaughn.
UNLV's Rashad Vaughn. Bounced around the league with 4 or 5 different teams. Extremely athletic. Playing at home here in the Thomas & Mack Center.
Allen with the jump stop. And Haas with a push off. As we remind you that Summer League action continues tonight in Las Vegas on NBA TV and the ESPN app. Tonight, Atlanta will face Chicago at 6 p.m. Eastern. Join us or watch it on the ESPN app.
You just can't wait for the seedings to come out for playoffs.
I cannot wait.
I mean, you are fired up. You're going to be locked in your room studying every single matchup.
Waiting for the pigeon, carrier pigeon with the news.
Pigeon has nothing over Polar Review.
Now remember, that was a little extra step. And here comes Allen.
I mean, 30 teams, about 30 teams in the tournament, guaranteed 2 more games.
At least, so you play at least 5, you can play as much as 8.
Now, here's the thing, as a coach, you've seen your guys, you've seen the young guys, you don't want any injuries. If you ask these guys honestly, do you want to win the championship? Yeah, I think guys would like to win a championship, but you know what? What stakes, like Utah and Sacramento and these teams that have played, Miami, that played in 2 summer leagues, at one point, enough's enough, and you want to get these guys back, healthy, rested, and then working on their games, not just playing games.
Well, with what I've seen the last couple of years, I saw Minnesota lose the first 3 games in the opening part and then make it finals. I think teams get caught up in it. Some teams get caught up in it, especially those that win. It's a 1-point Jazz game with only 3 minutes to go in the first. Tonight's games for the Coaches Appreciation Night. The Sacramento-Memphis game will be joined by Dave Yeager, J.B. Bickerstaff, Rick Carlisle, and Alvin Gentry. And then at night, Luke Walton, David Fisdale, Quinn Snyder, and Mike D'Antoni. D'Antoni, of course, now coaching Houston, but also obviously familiar with both the Lakers and the New York Knicks organization. Miami, of course, has a lot of things pending in the free agent market. It's a team that has a lot of guaranteed contracts. So their ability to make moves may be limited to trades. They have right now, this moment, the highest payroll in the NBA at a little bit over 148 million. And Adrian Wojnarowski informed about an hour ago that the Oklahoma City Thunder has allowed Carmelo Anthony and his representatives to talk to both the Houston Rockets and the Miami Heat about a possibility of a trade. Stripped by Thomas Wilder.
I don't look at Carmelo Anthony as a Heat player in terms of maybe the physicality, the toughness, but I do look at him in that the East is so wide open, and you know he can make shots and he can play off of spacing, and that he's going to stretch the floor a little bit, that I can see that being a fit. Now, on the other hand, I don't see him in Houston either, because Houston's losing 2 really good defenders, and Trevor Ariza and Luke Richard-Mute. Like, he's not going to bring that element to their basketball team.
But we'll see. I mean, that's exactly why they need to talk. We'll see what they offer. And speaking of one of your hunches, let's go to George for a health update. George.
Seth, you know everything, it seems like. It looks like Grayson Allen is dealing with a strained adductor muscle in his leg. Now, he apparently strained that muscle during a draft workout, so he's been kind of dealing with it, but it shouldn't keep him out of the game. They may bring him back in a little later, but they're not sure yet.
Well, thank you very much, George Sedano. Isaac Haas working against Landry Noko.
He should be in Terminator 3.
Open shot for Vaughn. And there's Noko giving them a second chance.
This is what I like about Keelan Martin. He has the ability to rebound the ball and initiate the break. Good, simple play. Nazmi Trelong, Iowa State. Iowa State very well represented in this game on Utah. You're talking about Nazmi Trelong and George Niang, 2 guys that really understand how to play, whether it was Fred Hoiberg or Steve Prohm. Both of those coaches do a terrific job of really teaching their players how to play out of ball screens.
Well, with pass over to Noko, and he gets fouled by Haas, and Landry will go to the line.
Noko played at Clemson for Brad Brownell. Terrific coach. Had great success at Wright State and UNC Wilmington, and had a terrific year this past year for Clemson.
And he's been working with a young man from Orlando, Florida. His name is Carlos Morales Jr., international basketball training, to work on developing his offense. I think the defense is pretty well set. And that is the question with Landry, as he may have that sort of skills and ability that someone like Clint Capella had when they first came into the league. Now, we don't know if Landry's going to be Clint Capella number 2, but that is a
that would be a great thing if it would happen. I don't think he's as explosive defensively. I don't think he finishes as aggressively around the basket. Got a little bit bigger body, but if he can prove a little bit offensively, a big like that in the NBA now, coaches are looking to play them in the dunker spot behind the defense, have them sprint out and set different angle ball screens and rim run to shrink the defense to basically play off the corners. And he's got length, and he does have the ability, pretty good feet, to be able to switch out in ball screens defensively, which is positive.
So what Miami's doing is platooning Noko and Adebayo. So we have 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, and a foul underneath. The foul is by Yantamate. There's Grayson. He doesn't seem to be hurt. He's enjoying the proceedings. "14 seconds to shoot." Too long as Peyton Aldridge steps on the line.
Peyton Aldridge played for one of the best coaches in all of college basketball, Bob McKillop, former head coach at Dominic High School, St. Dominic's High School, and Long Island Lutheran High School. And the program he's built at Davidson, his teams play as hard, cut as hard, play with as good spacing as any team in college basketball. Obviously, they had a great run with Steph Curry, but he's been able to maintain that program at a high level, moving up to the Atlantic 10 and still being in the running for an NCAA tournament each and every year.
Oh, a beautiful block. Right hustle by Yantamate to avoid those last 2 points. It's a tie game, 18-all at the end of one. If it gets hot in Las Vegas, you just join the pool, will you?
Yeah, that's where you're going to be later. No doubt about it, right?
Up next over on ESPN2, it's Kings Grizzlies, and to cap off the day, Lakers Knicks at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And when it gets loud at the Thomas and Mack Center, if you're Alonzo Mourning, you just cover up a little bit.
Alonzo Mourning, what you talk about the transition from being a great player to understanding the business of the NBA. He's got obviously a great tutor in Pat Riley, and he's working with a great organization. But what a great role model for the young players in the league to see his seamless transition.
And to the right is Juwan Howard, a Heat assistant coach, a former Summer League coach, whose son, Juwan Howard Jr., played at Detroit Mercy, is now playing for the Summer New York Knicks, one of the biggest attractions here after many years of not playing in Vegas and playing only in the Orlando tournament as Ty Webster scores from just inside the arc. We've had 5 ties and 3 lead changes in this game so far.
The New York Knicks are a good story. Kevin Knox, 9th pick in the draft, has been absolutely terrific. And John Calipari, I've had a chance to watch them practice a great deal, and he came in as a big-time scorer, but a guy that would not drive the ball, would not use his shot fake to set up the drive. And I mean, I sat in numerous practices in Kentucky, him going, Kevin, drive the basketball, attack, play the contact. Here in Vegas, he's been absolutely driving it, getting to the line, attacking with authority. In fact, talking to John this morning, he said P.J. Washington, one of his returning players, which is rare, said, how come Kevin didn't drive him when he played for us?
Oh.
So, but it just shows the light bulb goes on. Kevin Knox is going to be an elite scorer in the NBA. He's really a talented offensive player.
It couldn't be a Miami Heat game without an early illegal defense. And so we had that call already here. We don't see them too often here at the Summer League. Wilder dishes off the stone. I like Thomas Wilder. Watch him play in Western Michigan.
Wilder's a nice player, but I think Stone showed really nice touch, good footwork, and the ability to finish. Great extra pass right there.
And Vaughn can't convert. Oh, another tremendous effort by Webster and Vaughn.
Vaughn's been in the league, played about 100 games in the league. Was a first-round draft choice, didn't quit on the play. Nice contest, and Webster taking a pretty good angle, going over the outside shoulder. Nice play.
Played for the Skyliners in Frankfurt this year in the German league.
In a lot of ways, Miami these two teams have an advantage because they have more games underneath their belt. They've been through more walkthroughs. They probably have more offense in, but they probably will have some fatigue.
Farrell with the miss. Well, the story with Peyton Aldrich at Davidson is that Bob McKillop went to an AAU tournament to recruit another player, and it happens often. Your eye starts lingering on another player you weren't really going to look at. Oh. Aldridge with the rebound.
Well, the whole idea for coaches, and this is actually the recruiting period starts this week, the evaluation period in college basketball. Coaches will be traveling all over the country starting late Wednesday afternoon. It's the most important part of recruiting is evaluating. So the best coaches have coaching staffs and assistants that don't worry about where a kid is rated, but understand, watch, and see who a kid is, and not where he is now. Really evaluating is about where a kid is going. So that's as big a part of coaching, especially at the collegiate level, and obviously the scouts in the NBA, as anything, because evaluating a player's potential is the most important thing.
Alex Jensen with the Vegas shorts. And Eric Glass.
Al Jensen looks like he could put a body on someone right now and push him off the post. And for the young players in the league, Alvaro, the one thing that people understand, the game is very much different. The flow of the game is different from the college game. The spacing at times, although you want to get good spacing in college, the court is shrunk. You're going to have to stay home because of the zone rules. It's a different game. And it takes time. Now, that guy right there, Donovan Mitchell, he had no problem transitioning. In fact, a lot of people say the only guy that can guard Donovan Mitchell, Rick Pitino. You're supposed to laugh at that.
And Ekpe Udo on the right, very happy because he's now re-upped. They picked up his contract, the Utah Jazz did.
I've got to get you to laugh at my jokes.
You will.
I mean, I'm trying hard here.
I'm trying to keep track of the business of the NBA as well. Wilder with a move. And Stone with a putback.
Stone's looked really good. He's running the floor. He's had good hands. 10 points, 5 rebounds. Been physical. Rebounded some balls out of his area, which is very important. And he's run the floor really well.
Wilder again.
That's your guy.
Yeah. Now let me finish the Peyton Aldridge story. So McKillop goes to the tournament, watches him play, catches his eye, starts looking at him as far as his skills. Then he finds out he played with a hairline fracture to his jaw.
Then he really fell in love with him.
He was sold. He was sold. It's a 2-point Jazz lead halfway through the second. We have Coaches Appreciation Day and night, and we're starting early. Lenny Wilkins coached for 32 seasons. Jerry Sloan in Utah, 23 with one team. He had a couple with the Chicago Bulls as well. Don Nelson had the most wins. George Karl had the most playoff appearances. And, of course, Phil Jackson with the most championships.
And all guys had their own personality and coached in their own personality and different styles of basketball. And, George Karl, he kind of evolved his coaching style throughout his career. Jerry Sloan, maybe one of the toughest head coaches that's ever played. And there's a little coaching style in my man, the Quintessentials. What a job he's been able to do. He might be the smartest coach in the NBA.
How do you know that?
He's got his law degree, Duke graduate, very analytical, was a ferocious competitor as a player.
Probably speaks a little Russian from his 1 year with Cheska, assisting Ettore Messina.
And think about his path. worked for Larry Brown, became a college head coach at Missouri, had a setback being let go at Missouri, got involved in the G League and worked his way up, and he is a terrific communicator and extremely progressive in terms of how his teams play. Teams play great space and really pass the ball, and just are really connected. Quinn Snyder is not a good coach. He's a terrific coach.
And he was present at a clinic in the late 90s at Duke that Mike Krzyzewski was giving, and one of the attendees was this young man from Serbia named Igor Kokoskov, who later became, up until this past season, his assistant, both in college and in the pros, and now, of course, is now the head coach of the Phoenix Suns.
He's got a coaching tree.
Yes, he does.
I think he's going to have a pretty distinguished coaching tree because he's going to be in this profession a long time, and he has an eye for understanding the type of people that he wants in his organization. Quinn Snyder, he's legitimately the total package, and especially in the NBA today. That's Iowa State on Iowa State crime right there.
Yes. Well, there was some. To sign George to a two-way contract for Utah, they had to undo Mitchell Long's two-way deal. And now we have a timeout. As we see Grayson Allen at the scorer's table, he may be coming back, as George Sedano mentioned. It's still a close game. Miami leads Utah by 4.
Welcome back to the NBA Summer League, and for the Utah Jazz, big man Diamond Stone is not a diamond in the rough. He showed an array, jump hooks, moves on penetration, nice soft hands, and a nice little jump hook right there. Diamond Stone has done a nice job of running the floor. He's been active defensively, and he's shown the ability to finish around the basket. Looks like a guy that's going to play in the league.
Yeah, played 7 games already with the Clippers a couple of seasons ago. You see a foul. Interesting dichotomy here. Utah cannot make a three-pointer, so everything's being driven in to the paint. Meanwhile, Miami, especially with Duncan Robinson on the floor, they're having success from behind the arc.
6 of the last 7 field goals from the three-point line.
Yeah.
My guy Steve, he finds stuff that not very many people find.
And Grayson Allen seems to be back. The adductor muscle pull, or partial pull, doesn't seem to be affecting that three.
There's a difference between being injured and inconvenience. It's something that coaches try to get across to their players. Obviously, the Summer League, a little different because you want to take precautions, but never question Grayson Allen's toughness. This is where Georges Niang is good. He can rebound it and initiate. Good spacing right there.
Beautiful move. Beautiful move. The beneficiary was Stanton Kidd. Niang to Allen to Kidd.
Yeah, really good offense right there. Niang's ability to bust out those first 2 dribbles, clear the defense, advance pass, and then Grayson Allen making the right decision.
Darrell Macon with the shot.
Arkansas's finest. Arkansas had a really good year. Mike Anderson, part of the Nolan Richardson coaching tree. Played for Nolan Richardson at Tulsa. Fastest 40 minutes. That team plays about as hard as any in the country. And that's coaching. Coaching's getting your guys to compete, getting them to play harder than they realize, redefining playing hard. And Mike and obviously Coach Richardson, who won the national championship, really, really good at that.
Oh, great pass. And a bucket and a foul. They've got everything.
Grayson Allen, he played some point guard last year out of necessity. Watch head up. Sees the play develop, drops that dime, and a nice finish right there.
Left-handed.
And Grayson Allen, his game is more versatile than you realize. When you look at him early on, you thought he was a jump shooter. He's more than a jump shooter. He's going to drive it and finish. He's also going to see the floor. Very complete player.
Johnny Bryant, an assistant coach of Quinn Snyder's in Utah, was the one who sat down with Donovan Mitchell. And remember that the team was built to try to keep Gordon Hayward. They brought in Ricky Rubio. They thought they were going to keep Gordon Hayward, and then about a year ago, July 4th, they got the news. And all of a sudden, they have to go to Plan B. And Plan B was, well, we got Ricky Rubio at the point as Robinson. My goodness. And we have a technical foul, and it's on Robinson, I believe. Yes, it is.
It's the Summer League. Come on. He said he got hit. Relax. It's not even 3 o'clock. Technical should be never given out before 3. Don't you agree with that?
It's 3 in Miami.
I mean, come on. I mean, he thought he got hit. He didn't use one of those words that, you use when you have an out-of-body experience. He wanted to get a little N1. I mean, can we all just get along?
Well, they just did. They had a conversation afterwards.
Does he get fined?
Referee Nate Green. No,
I want to find out in the Summer League if you get a team, you get fined.
No,
Do you lose your per diem?
No, you don't. But they may skip a meal.
He's a developing player. He can't skip a meal.
You can't have one of those moon cookies that you.
The moon pie. You can't. When you see the moon pie, you got to go for it every once in a while.
They may withhold the moon pie. Oh, what a fake. Oh, left-handed finish.
Nice play right there. Trey Lewis lifting the defender, using his body to shield the defender.
So to finish on the Bryant story, wow, they really scaled Mount Haas. That was a great shot by Walton. So Bryant's the one that weak side block by Adebayo. He's the one that sat him down and said, look, these are the opportunities playing off the ball with Ricky, and you may begin to see this with the ball in your hands as you initiate offense. And Donovan was saying how important that was in his development and the success he had last year. Same thing's going to happen to Grayson Allen. You know that.
Grayson Allen's going to be a good player in the NBA because he has a skill set and he can shoot it. He's got size, he's got strength, and all the stuff about what's happened in the past. And even he's going to get tested, and I think that's happened in the Summer League a couple times.
Yep.
But everyone made a big deal of the thing with Trae Young. That was nothing. Trae Young attacked his arms in the closeout to get the foul. They got hooked up, so that's going to happen. Play on.
Oh, beautiful shot. He's been working on that shot for a while. Finally, Ike Wamu gets it to go. Good move by Niang, putting pressure on the defense and then making Adebayo guess as to when he was going to go up with a shot.
Niang is crafty. He's like an old school dude that understands how to play. He gets angles, can really pass the ball, and he can space the court because he can shoot it to the 3.
Haas again trying to get between the ball and the basket, but not this time.
Yeah, Walton can play the contact and finish at the rim, and he's a nice player, but he's got to keep the ball in front of him. And especially if he's going to chirp on that end like he just did, you better turn around and guard the ball.
And one. Fouls on Niang.
UNLV very well represented here in this Summer League. Milano right here, former Rebel, playing the contact, big physical body, went undrafted. Watch him go into the chest of the defender so he can stay below him and play through the contact. A lot of former Rebels here, no doubt about it. Kristen Wood played really well yesterday for the Bucks.
Got 12 points and 6 boards. Now 13 points for Ike. Averaging about 8 so far in the Summer League.
You can't come to the Thomas and Mack without mentioning Tark. I mean, you talk about coaches. Tark was, I guess he's feeling better.
Yes, he is. I'm not sure the rim is feeling any better.
Grayson with a little authority, but Tark was a coach's coach. I mean, and Coach's Appreciation Day. I mean, Tark was a guy that he was ahead of his time, whether it was the 1-1-3, which the way they defended it, whether it was their fast break. He had an unbelievable relationship with players. Nice backdoor, great to backdoor off the baseline. Terrific pass. George Niang, not a good passer, but a terrific passer. And that's his versatility. Nice job of setting up the cut by Grayson Allen. But when you come to the Thomas and Mack, every single time I come here, I go out to that statue outside, say hello to Coach Tark.
Does he say anything to you?
He said a lot to me because we only beat him once. But he was a great coach. You talk about a guy whose his players played for. Those guys played so hard for him, whether it's Greg Anthony or Larry Johnson. But I'm going to give you one bit of advice. If you play against Tark and you're a first-year head coach, don't let your college president sit on the bench with you, because that's what I did. And I almost didn't get to the end of the season because we were getting whacked so bad.
So see a timeout, a nice shot by Niang. Thoughts from Coach Greenberg? The NCAA national champion, Running Rebels of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Of course, you can see some of the players there, but at the bottom, you begin to see some of Jerry Tarkanian's assistants.
Jerry Tarkanian had terrific assistants. Tim Gergerich was the premier assistant in college basketball, spent time in the NBA. But you know what? You don't win without players. Sidney Green, New York product, he was absolutely terrific. Greg Anthony, that team was so explosive up the floor. And Larry Johnson, you know, his body, he could overpower people. Stacey Augland, coached in the NBA, also was an assistant here at UNLV. This place has a rich tradition, and when Tark started this thing, it was just a couple buildings in the desert. Now they got the Thomas & Mack National Championships and an expectation.
Tremendous. The Junior NBA World Championships is the NBA's first ever global youth basketball tournament for top 13 and 14-year-old boys and girls teams from around the world. The inaugural event at ESPN Wide World of Sports in Orlando will feature 32 teams that will compete this August on Fox and FS1. To learn more, visit juniornba.com/world championship.
You know what coaching is? Coaching is coming out of a timeout and running a set and having your guys execute it. So that means you did a nice job of communicating it to your players. They understood it, and then they went out and executed it. And that was a really nice job by Miami and Coach Glass of coming out of the timeout and doing a nice job executing.
Tell me about the play selection. That you're the coach. You've seen the opponent. Why do you pick a certain play?
Probably they were hard hedging those ball screens. So what do? You ball screen, back screen, or a quick roll to the rim. And because they're extended out, that opens up an opportunity to play above the basket.
Another tie. That is the 11th with 7 lead changes so far in this game. And a quick timeout. The coaches have to do their work.
Yeah, why not? Let them earn a little cash.
And their moon pies. Alex Jensen, 42-year-old, finished his 4th season as an assistant coach with the Jazz. He had been a player development assistant and the head coach of the Canton Charge. And of course, Eric Glass. Glass is from California, attended Cal State Fullerton. And is now, here's the part that just blows me away. Video coordinator and player development. Can you do both jobs?
Sure you can, because you're the coordinator. So you have video assistants, like, you know, that are basically cutting the stuff. You're overseeing it. And you got Chris Quinn on that bench. Chris Quinn played at Notre Dame.
As a matter of fact, Eric's first job as a head coach with the Miami Heat was last year when Chris Quinn couldn't attend the first game, and Eric had to take over as coach, as we see the end of the half and a foul before that.
Chris Quinn, when he played at Notre Dame, I was at Virginia Tech, he led the country in fewest turnovers. But at one point in the game, he was dribbling right behind by our bench, and I was telling Jamon Gordon, one of my players, to pressure the ball. I had my hands out. Chris crossed over right in front of me. I stole it from him and hit his foot. We went on for a fast break. Chris cannot forget it. Neither can Mike Bray. Lost his mind. It was great.
Allen sneaking around the back of the Miami defense. And that cuts the ties the game at 47. Another tie. Grayson Allen never giving up on the play.
Great job of using his body, playing into the defender, also moving without the basketball, knocked down some threes. Grayson Allen showing the total package.
There's 0.3 seconds to go on the half. He's got 11 points. He's got 6 boards. A couple of very spectacular plays, including a beautiful left-handed pass. As it is official now. It is a tie game. We'll have some very interesting guests coming up at halftime. Don't go away.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by the DQ Summer Blizzard menu for a limited time at participating locations. And Carmel M&M's. We're making Carmel fun. Coverage coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by State Farm, here to help life go right.
As we see some of the beauties here in Las Vegas, it's a time. Welcome back to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018. Back at the Thomas & Mack Center, this young man is doing exactly what we're doing right now. You know what that is? Looking for Donovan Mitchell.
See, like Waldo? Where's Waldo? Where's Donovan? Donovan Mitchell is the face of the Utah Jazz, and his ability to assimilate into the community, to be available to anyone and everyone. You see him at the draft. You see him at the Summer League. He's embraced his new role as their ambassador, but he always does it with a smile. It's never a burden.
It is tremendous, and he's had quite the summer. Remember that he was injured in his last playoff game, and so he's had about a month of not doing that much as he's working his way over to our position. And he's also been traveling the world a little bit. I think he went to the EuroLeague Final Four, went to Athens, as we're joined by Donovan right now as the second half starts. We're talking about your summer and where you've been. I think you've been to the Philippines, if you've been to China. We may actually be better off telling people where you haven't been, because you've been everywhere. Donovan Mitchell, thank you for joining us. Seth Greenberg, Alvaro Martin with you. Glad you're joining us. One quick question. We want to devote this segment to your relationship with your coaches, because today is Coaches Appreciation Day and night here at the Summer League. But quick question about your travels. You mentioned that the experience of watching the Final Four was pretty mind-blowing, pretty transformative. Tell us why.
The biggest thing was I really respected how the fans like their dedication, their energy, and it never stopped. In NBA games, even college games, it was kind of like that lull. Beginning of the third quarter, start of the game. They were at it 45 minutes before the game, like cheering. And
you get any good chants? Did you learn any chants or what?
I didn't learn it. I didn't know what they were saying, to be honest with you. I just know it was a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, and it was pretty amazing experience. And we were in the kind of the VIP row. It's kind of like courtside. In courtside in the States, people are kind of calm, and they were right at the ref's neck the whole game. So I think that was pretty cool.
Now, you work with Johnny Bryant very closely, and in many ways, he showed you things about the NBA game that you ended up picking up and executing at a high level. Mm-hmm. What's the luxury of having that coach knowing that much and opening up visions for a player like you?
The greatest thing about Johnny, man, I've been through a lot of coaches, Coach Pitino, Coach Smith at Brewster, a lot of coaches who love basketball, love watching film, but I always pride myself to kind of watch more film than my coaches. And he's probably, him and Pitino, probably the only two coaches and Coach Snyder as well, where I can't outwatch them. And I say that not just our games. He'll send me clips from 05, 06, see how this worked, like Rip Hamilton, Gary Payton, Damian Lillard, and all that. And I try my best to kind of watch more than him, but he's consistently watching more. And I think when you have a coach that's that prepared and gives you that information, there was never one game where I felt I didn't feel prepared. That young man in the shop right there is looking for you. For an autograph. Yes. Really? Yes. I gotta find it. Definitely gotta find it.
You had the Karl Malone jersey on the other day. I mean, you pay homage to the history, and
of course.
My man's wearing your jersey. You're wearing Karl Malone's. He's waiting on you.
Yeah, I gotta find him after this for sure.
We're talking coaches. You've played for some terrific coaches from prep school on up. What's the one trait that you think all three of those guys possess that have helped you get you where you want to go?
I think between Coach Snyder and Coach Pitino, they're very similar in their attention to detail. Whether it's shoot around, obviously in the NBA you can't practice as much as we did in Louisville in college, but our attention to detail, if we're walking through something and I'm supposed to be on the block and I'm 2 inches off the block, we're going to restart the whole play and go through it again because I got to be on the block. If I have to be 2 steps above the three-point line and I'm 1 step, we're going to redo the whole thing. So I think that's where I kind of see the similarity in Pitino and Coach Snyder. And I think that plays into everybody on our team. We understand the significance of every little detail because that's how we play as a team, where we do the little things that, may not be flashy, may not be like what everybody enjoys seeing, but that's what we do to win, and that's how we compete. And I think that having a coach who's so focused on the little things, I think helps out for sure.
How important is communication in coaching?
100%. Communicating in coaching, you said?
Yeah.
100%. There are a lot of guys that I've noticed, you got to learn how to coach different players. And I kind of figured that out when I got here. In college, it's not really. Excuse me. Yeah, it's not really like that in college. In the NBA, you got to be able to understand guys are different. You got to talk to guys differently, and Coach Snyder's great at that. You know, great at understanding that. To get me going, you got to tell me I can't do something like that. That's big, because Johnny's great at that too. He always understands how to get the best out of his players, and Coach Snyder's great at that as well. And they do so many different things and talk to their players the way they need to get the best out of them.
How many times did you find yourself to be in tune, that you had a thought, you went over to Quinn, and that he was thinking of exactly the same thing?
There were a lot of times where I thought that I was right, and I was like, this is what we should do. And he'd be like, no, let's do this. And I wouldn't get it. And then he'd run the play, and he'd be right. So there was a lot of that, but then there was also a lot of what you said. Got out of, all right, as the season progressed and as I started playing more, getting more experience, we started to be on the same page. And I'm like, okay, when we run this play, all right, now I got to be at this spot. And I'll come over and say, my bad, I should have been here. He's like, all right, I was going to tell you that. Whether in October he would have told me that. Come February, March, I was telling him, all right, that's where I need to be, my bad. And then I think that just plays into the coaching.
We'd look to keep you for the whole game, but we know you've got some commitments, including that young man.
Yes, sir, for sure.
But thank you again for your time, and best of luck next season.
Thanks, Bart. Great seeing you, pal. Appreciate it.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by Carmel M&Ms. We're making Carmel fun.
There goes Donovan Mitchell on another mission, goodwill mission, to sign as many autographs as he can. Miami enjoying their largest lead of the game. We're going to have the Donovan cam. Oh! Skying was Akwamu with the dunk.
Akwamu's looked really playing at a very high level, playing hard. He's been physical. He's run the floor.
What a move by Derek Walton.
And Derek Walton scores that. That's the same type of action they used to come out of the timeout. Because they took away the lob, it opened up that side for an isolation for Derek Walton. This is pretty good basketball. Akwamu right here. You talk about a physical driver. Running the floor, plays above the rim. The Rebels have seen that before. And then Grayson Allen. Extremely athletic, protects the ball with his body and finishes. Grayson Allen, after he came out, he kind of unplugged, plugged back in, and rebooted. He's knocked down jumpers, threw a terrific left-handed bounce pass, then a nice back cut along the baseline. He's been really impressive.
You've got Grayson, you've got Dante Exum, you've got Donovan, of course, you've got penetrators.
Yeah, and playmakers. You see, the NBA, everyone talks about point guards and off the ball, on the ball. The NBA is a league of ball guards. You've got putting guys in small boxes. Like I hate the term 3 and D. Does that mean the guy can't feed the post? I mean, in the NBA, you need to have ball guards. You need to be able to score. You have to make passes. You need to be able to defend. You need to be able to initiate the break or finish on the break, and that's what they've been able to do, and that's why they're hard to defend.
We saw Andre Iguodala and his absence play a huge factor in that series between Golden State and Houston. And the ball wasn't moving as much. So no one thought of Andre as a great, tremendous facilitator. And everybody knew he was, but it really showed up when you didn't see it.
He's the perfect blend guy. I mean, like he can defend anyone. He has versatility in where you can play him on the floor. He'll make enough shots just so you have to actually guard him. But his interior passing is absolutely terrific.
Adebayo makes a free throw. It's a 7-point Miami lead. Here comes Robinson.
That ball is sliding off of Grayson Allen's hands, son. Look at Mate use his body. This is where Georges Niang's at his best. Defensive rebound, and he can initiate your fast break, clear the defense, and then put pressure on the defense in a mismatch. And that's just a really good basketball play, and that's why Jeff Van Gundy said he will have a place in the NBA because of his skill set and because of a number of different things he can bring at that position. And he's as nice a young man as you will ever meet.
He's also put in the work in terms of building up his body and getting even stronger. You were talking to us about the difference between lifting weights and building up your upper body and having your lower base be strong.
You got to play with base and balance. And I think the other thing is, it sounds silly, but for such young players, but you've got to get in world-class condition. You can't improve unless you're in great shape. And that's one of the things that's a little baffling. I've seen some guys come to the Summer League, and they're not in world-class condition. Now, part of that is sometimes guys spend more time working out with workout guys than working on the total game. Guys that are really, really push them. Well, like the workout guys are terrific. I mean, there are some great player development guys that are away from coaching staffs. But you also need to just challenge yourself. And I always wonder if you're paying a guy to work you out, is he going to push you to the point where you're going to push back? Or do you need maybe someone that is not working for you? Because a workout guy's working for you. You're working for the organization. So I think there's something there, because if you want to be a great player, first and foremost, you better be in just world-class condition.
Well, that's why Niang and Tony Bradley have spent their summer in Salt Lake getting ready for the season. And again, doing a lot of that work, that physical work. So take a look at Bradley with a slight wrist injury, held out of this game. Was a double-double machine in that earlier tournament in Utah. Back door. And he stepped on the line. It's a turnover.
Same backdoor action right there out of the corners. Grayson Allen making the right decision. Just Kelan Martin's got to space down and leave a step to step into that three.
Isaac Haas back on the court. And so is Matt Farrell of Notre Dame.
Isaac Haas, new age Swen Nader.
Yes.
Or Markey.
Oh, what a redirection by Georges Niang.
That's why he belongs in the NBA. Not only it's the pass, but the vision to see the play develop. He sees plays happen before they happen.
General Manager Dennis Lindsey, Utah General Manager, was just nodding like, okay, okay. That's why. Adebayo gets blocked by Haas. Oh, that was a rough.
What a terrific job, Georges Niang. I hope Isaac Haas as well. I don't think you can hurt him. But watch this here. Not only the redirection, but the vision to see the play develop. And that, to me, is what makes this guy special. And that's why he will earn a spot in the NBA. His feel for the game and his IQ is off the charts. He played for good coaches. He was under-recruited coming out of high school. But he is really a talented player, and he knows how to play.
A stat sheet stuffer.
Bam's getting to the line.
Ten of 11. Not only getting to it, he's making them. And Miami extends to a 9-point lead. Allen. Here comes Bam. Here comes Bam all the way. And the ball is off Martin.
Got to stop the ball. Bam Adebayo pushing it hard. Got to get himself a little bit more on balance. Bam has taken one more free throw than the whole Utah Jazz team. And he's playing two contact, which is really important. Hasn't had many old-fashioned three-point plays, but he's getting to the line and he's making his free throws, as you said, which is really important.
Martin with a very soft touch over Adebayo.
Martin's another guy coming out of Butler, really understands how to play, really good on the baseline, has some versatility, big body. Like to see him maybe thin down a little bit and get a little bit more explosive. But a guy that will probably play in the G League and maybe eventually earn his way onto a roster because he can score.
Farrell with a long three. from New Jersey, ended up playing in Notre Dame all 4 years.
Tough kid.
Nice shot by Wilder.
Wilder's played well.
He's just quiet. That's his nature. He just doesn't. He's a kind of floor general that won't make any noise for himself, and he plays every game. Beautiful move to the basket by Adebayo, and a nice setup by Farrell.
You know, the other interesting thing is you see the coaches coaching these games here and the coaching staffs. Like as I was leaving the hotel today, the Memphis Grizzlies veterans were here. They were just coming back from basically a veteran workout. And to me, that's the important thing. It's not the meeting with your players, it's the meeting after the meeting.
Right.
So if you have a good culture and your guys understand what it takes, they're coming out here. Obviously, they're having a good time. But when you have a good culture, the meeting after the meeting gets your guys to have ownership and understand how hard they have to work. Grayson Allen's been terrific. These two teams, there's a lot of meetings after the meetings, but Miami, their meeting's been a little bit more successful.
So the search is over. Underneath that 45 shirt that he wants autographed, he's got another Donovan Mitchell 45 shirt. He's a Spider fan through and through. And look at the smile on that young man on the left.
He's got layers of Donovan Mitchell. You know the most important thing when you run side out of bounds play? Getting the ball in bounds.
Seriously.
How about the way Donovan Mitchell carries himself? I mean, it's really refreshing, impressive, and the NBA in general, the players do such a good job of really appreciating the fans. But what an impressive young guy that really is very not only self-aware but aware of others.
Very much so. He was brought up right by his parents, clearly. Vaughn with a hesitation and short. Question for you. You're a coach. You've got really you've got athletes in your team. You've got a scheme that fits them. You're excited. You think you're going to go places. But somehow, the chemistry, the attitudes in that locker room are not conducive to putting that plan through. What happens?
You lose. You're only as good as your locker room.
You don't mean ability here.
Not ability, you lose because your chemistry, basketball's all about trust and respect. And if your team does not respect each other, trust each other, and respect what each individual brings to the good of the group, then you have no chance to win. And you're not going to win the games that you really need to be together because you don't have everyone pulling in the same direction. And that's why, at the NBA level, really understanding who you're drafting, who's going to be in your locker room, the trust that's developed. You see more and more of these players taking trips, whether they're coming out here as a group, whether they're going and taking vacations, whether they're doing different things together. DeMar Carroll was on yesterday. He set up a couple of different trips during the course of the summer with the young Brooklyn Nets players.
Yeah.
You've got to develop a trust and a respect, and you can't win at a high level without it. For example, Golden State Warriors. They had guys that didn't play in series games. Then they came and played in other series, and they were ready to go. Why? Respect and trust and understanding the difference.
In the case of Utah on Sunday, I would say about 2/3 of the lineup was here watching the game. Their bench extended all the way so you could accommodate everybody. As Robinson misses a three-pointer, that's news. Now in the pros, at some point you can say that you can find a way to get a player out of your roster because there's no fit.
Harder in college.
Much harder in college.
But if a guy doesn't fit, eventually he's going to eliminate himself. Because, if guys are unhappy, you don't want them, they don't want to be there. And what happens now in college is, it'll be, there's not a role for me, there's an opportunity, it's a bad fit. And that's going to happen. I mean, transfering's at an all-time high, and it's going to continue to rise because, guys want to come in and play immediately. And if they're not getting an opportunity, then they're going to go elsewhere.
And to me, while a coach is a teacher first and foremost, it's managing that process that's always the hardest thing. Has to be, from the outside.
Well, what it is your teammates have to manage it. Like if you've got player-coach teams are better than coach-coach teams. If you have good upper-class leadership, if you have good character in your locker room, then when a guy gets off track, you have someone in that locker room that can pull that guy back on track. No, that's not the way we do things here. And the same thing in the NBA. That's the big question about San Antonio, because they're losing that locker room.
Nice long-range shot by Trey Lewis.
Trey Lewis, Louisville, another Rick Pitino player.
As we're looking at the last seconds, there's about a 6-second differential between game clock and shot clock. Maiden gets fouled on the 3. The foul is on Lewis. From Cleveland, started Penn State, went to Cleveland State, and then ended up at Louisville, as we see Jante Maiden at the line. Player of the Year in the SEC makes the first free throw. Coming up next over on ESPN2, it's Kings Grizzlies, and to cap off the day, Lakers Knicks at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. All games will be streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. This 12-game tournament continues. 30 teams, 82 games, 12-day tournament. For the first time, we get all 30 teams. There's no more Orlando Summer League. And those teams are here. Maiden makes the free throw, including the Knicks. It's become one of the sensations here in Vegas. Offensive foul by Nas Mitrou-Long, as Farrell took the brunt of it. He just got in there and knew it was coming. Great move by Farrell. Beautiful move. Two seconds for the end. And Vaughn makes a 3. It is a 3. And it boosts Miami lead to 11. We'll be back with the fourth quarter. Miami leads Utah by 11. Vaughn at the buzzer at the end of 3 gives Miami its largest lead of the game as we start the fourth quarter. Again, Miami looking for their first win here in this opening part of the tournament. We begin the championship round tomorrow. All 30 teams are going to be ranked at the end of the day today here in Vegas, and off we go tomorrow. Teams will play at least 5 games and up to 8. Another offensive foul. This time on the drive by Daryl Macon. As we're going to go everywhere here at Thomas and Mack Center. We've got everything covered, including the Donovan Mitchell camp, but we also have Seth Greenberg on Coaches Appreciation Day and night with a very special guest, a man who's also been a coach in the NBA and the ABA, Seth.
Rod Thorne is joining me up here on, I guess, this stage. And Rod, you've had every job in the NBA, but you started as a coach. What happened?
I wanted to sleep at night, and I had I became a head coach in St. Louis, and I wasn't very successful at the time, so got into the other avenues of the league, Seth, and it's been a long, very enjoyable journey.
You've hired a number of different coaches. The league has changed some, but what are the traits that you think really make a good coach in the NBA today?
You know, I think it's changed a lot, Seth, over the course of time. I think, back when I played and when I first started coaching, you had, if you were lucky, one assistant, and now you have 7 or 8. You didn't have all of the, tools that you have, to get prepared for games. today that you had in those days. But essentially, and I think you would agree, it's still the same thing. You've got to get your players to play the way you want them to play and convince them it's in their best interest. And you've got to communicate with them. So I think that part of it hasn't changed.
How much is trust involved now because the league is getting so young? Is it harder to earn the trust of the players? Because like years back, it was basically trust came with the title. Now it's almost earned. What type of things do you see coaches doing today that might be different in terms of getting on the same page with guys?
You make some very pertinent points. You have so many young players today, and before you had more veteran players, and a coach got instant respectability. He didn't have to earn it. He had to lose it, and he could lose it, but he had it. And today it's more, you have to prove to me that you're a coach. Even, with these younger and younger players that we have who don't, they don't know as much about the game, as I think players did before. Because they're so young.
They haven't been like a lot of these guys, 7 months in college.
Yeah.
Limited exposure to especially the game. Like for coaches today, how much is the game different than it was even 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, it was an inside-out game before. You had low-post players, and you threw it inside. You broke, you cut off usually the center, or it could be somebody else. And then you threw it outside if you couldn't get anything inside. Today, it's more of an outside-in game, more three-point shots. So to me, it's more a 50-foot game than a 94-foot game.
How about analytics? I mean, did you ever think there'd be a day that it was three-pointers, free throws, and layups, and then you had a whole staff? You probably have a whole staff right now in Milwaukee of guys that didn't coach, didn't play, but are grinding some numbers.
I never envisioned anything like we have today. And you're right. 30 teams have an analytics staff. If they don't have an
Well, explains it to you.
It takes a few times. But it's interesting, Seth, in that your analytic people can give you what you want, really. If you're looking for different combinations to play together and how they play together, from an analytic standpoint, they can give you that. A coach needs to let the analytic people know what he needs, and then to me it can help you. Some of it, doesn't mean as much as others, obviously. But I do think that some of it can really help you.
How much do the players assimilate that information? How much can you give today's player as opposed to saying, all right, we're going to run them off of this spot, but without them starting to think about the numbers and not being instinctive?
Seth, I've seen it so many times. Like go to a shoot around, and after about 15 minutes, you tend to lose players. And you can give them too much information that, they're thinking rather than playing. I think the key thing, and now they give you, if you're guarding me, they give you a tape of me, what I do. And I think if you have 3 or 4 points that to think about, you're fine. If you have 15 things to think about, it doesn't work as well.
You've got a pretty good player in Milwaukee.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, he's pretty good. When you look at Giannis, and you talk about all the information that coaches have available, but what about also, a lot of your support staff, your scouts? How do you find that combination between the coaching staff and the scouting staff to get them on the same page to have that same vision?
Sometimes it's not easy. I think the head coach has to, obviously be the person. And he's got to make sure everyone knows what he's looking for. And the scouts have to understand how the head coach coaches and what they need from him, what the head coach needs from them. And I think it takes a little time, until that trust is built up. But it's the way, it's the way it is today everywhere.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate your time, and you're a great kind of example, a role model that I always say you got to get lost in the game. You've been lost in the game for how many years?
About 56.
Absolutely awesome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it.
Rod Thorne, back to you, Alvaro.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Rod Thorne. Of course, was in St. Louis for the ABA as a head coach for 1 year, then 1 year in Chicago in the early 80s as well. Ended up in the league office. And it's a league office and a profession now, the coaching profession, has become so complex. It's almost like a CEO role. The CEO of Miami leading the CEO of Utah by 14.
Coverage of MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2018 is brought to you by One A Day with Nature's Medley.
Summer League action continues tonight in Las Vegas on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. On ESPN2 tonight, Sacramento-Memphis, 6:30 Eastern, followed by the Lakers and the New York Knicks at 8:30 Eastern. As we saw, Jerry Stackhouse, future, current and future coach, possibly a future head coach at the NBA level. He's already had some interviews. Quick foul. No. Second half. Vlade Peja and the Sacramento Kings ownership and general management present to watch their team play against the Grizzlies coming up next. Jerry Stackhouse, of course, now an assistant for J.B. Bickerstaff. And Sacramento's the team that's interesting, Seth, in terms of still having some room under the cap to make deals, and it becomes attractive to other teams trying to figure out how to build their puzzle.
Yes, Sacramento's an interesting team that I think the biggest thing is they are collecting talent. Now they've got to figure out a way to take that talent and create a winning culture. And that's the responsibility of the coach, being on the same page. And Rod made a great point. The coaching staff and the management need to have a shared vision. And if they can have a shared vision, there's Coach Yeager right there, then you have a chance to move forward. But they have pieces. There's no doubt about it.
We know that the NBA is considered obviously a players' league, but it's funny, especially in small markets, when the culture is coach-centric, they can sustain success.
Well, you can sustain success if you have good players. I don't care how good your coach is. You need to have players that compete, that buy in, that embrace roles, that are good enough to compete and win against the best players in the world. And the problem is when you're selecting lottery picks year in and year out, but you don't have veterans to teach those young players, veterans that have won. Like, and I'm going to use for example is Minnesota. You add Jimmy Butler to the mix, and now all of a sudden it creates an identity and a toughness and a guy that can hold everyone in that locker room accountable. So as you look at Sacramento, and I think they are collecting good players, the question is, all right, who's holding anyone accountable? Now, look, Phoenix, they take Trevor Ariza. Now, Trevor Ariza obviously comes from a winning culture, and he has a toughness and a maturity that can help. And that's just so important as you're trying to kind of get to the next level. And in the West, where who's not going to win? Like, if you see right now the playoffs, everyone says, well, the Lakers, LeBron, they're definitely going. Who's not going?
That's a good question.
San Antonio not going?
Wouldn't rule them out.
Denver might be going.
Oh, Denver definitely would.
So who you leapfrogging?
Who stays out? Who stays out?
And that's the thing. In a way, that's why if you're a really good player and want to have a clearer path, not a clear path to the finals or to the playoffs, you got to go east. right now.
Adebayo gets fouled. It's interesting. Which Western team is, other than Sacramento right now, can you say they will not make the playoffs? Not that Sacramento won't. I'm just saying
you would say Sacramento and Phoenix.
And
Portland's not going backwards, I don't think. They've got a good core group and they're talented. Denver is solidifying their place. They're continuing to get better. So who's not going? And LeBron, I mean, can you imagine? Jeff Van Gundy said he doesn't think that Lakers are going to make playoffs. I'm just riding that thing. I hope Jeff's listening. I'm riding that thing. We'll ride that thing all next year.
Utah, only 11 free throw attempts. Miami's had 30, and they have made 27 of them. They're living at the line. Walton with great patience, but he cannot sink the three. Allen saw an opening, and he goes all the way.
Grayson Allen opportunistic in transition for a second time, and he's got size and strength, and he's not afraid of contact. Diamond Stone's been very active defensively. Now, the one thing he doesn't do is he can't recover back and protect the rim. Good possession right there for the Heat. Good ball movement, good spacing, good patience.
Foul by Nwamu.
Grayson Allen in transition. You got to stop the ball. If not, he's going to finish, and then Duncan Robinson, he can shoot the three, but he can drop dimes, and if you're going to drop a dime, Bam can finish.
Bam's got 24 and 9 boards. Interestingly enough, Miami has shot just about the same amount of twos as threes in this game, becoming more and more.
Well, you look at your lineup that you have on there now, because Bam draws crowds, you can be able to play inside out a little bit. You have a guy like Duncan Robinson who can really shoot it and stretch the floor. And you want to take advantage of the personnel you have on the floor. That's coaching's putting guys in position to play to their strengths and fitting a system to your players, not creating a system and forcing your players to play that system. And that's so important when you're trying to kind of develop your team's identity.
We'll see who they keep. They've got some shooters. They got Wayne Ellington pending as a signee. We obviously have Josh Richardson, Dion Waiters, even Kelly Olynyk from the perimeter as well.
Skilled.
Yep.
Could they have Carmelo Anthony?
Well, that's the word from Adrian Wojnarowski this morning. OKC giving Houston and Miami permission to discuss trade terms for Carmelo Anthony.
Would you like to be in the room, listen to Pat Riley talk to Carmelo Anthony about coming to the Heat? That would be a fascinating conversation. I mean, I liked him, by the way, with the mustache and the thing. It was kind of, he looked like the most interesting man in the world. But you're George Sedano?
Well, George knows Miami, and George worked for the Heat for a few years. George, what's your take on this?
Well, it looks like we got a Woj bomb earlier today that Houston and Miami are the two teams that have been given permission by Oklahoma City to talk to Carmelo Anthony. Now, look, I think both teams obviously offer Carmelo the opportunity to potentially start, which I think is something that's important to him. He didn't want to come off the bench at Oklahoma City. With Miami, he'll be potentially playing with Dwayne Wade, his buddy, part of the Banana Boat crew, as they like to call it. And Chris Paul, also part of that Banana Boat crew, is very close with Carmelo Anthony. So it'll be interesting to see what he gets. Will it come down to money? He may get bought out by Oklahoma City. So if it's a money thing, I don't believe either team has a ton to offer as far as cash is concerned, but it could be a trade too. We don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see how this thing turns out, but those are the two possibilities it looks like for Carmelo Anthony, according to Adrian Wojnarowski.
But George, with Miami trying not to go over and pay luxury tax this year, they have some incentive to move some players if there's interest on the other side.
Yeah, Alvaro, they also have a glutton of guards, basically. Even bringing back Dwayne Wade could be challenging, even though Dwayne at this stage of his career is about a 20 or 25-minute player. So yeah, they have to have some moves. They also would like to re-sign Wayne Ellington. Wayne Ellington has been patient trying to wait for Miami. There's about 20 teams that are interested in Wayne Ellington right now, according to what I've heard. And I think Miami would like to bring him back, bring Dwayne back, maybe get Carmelo in the fold, but they'd have to move some guys. Tyler Johnson has a big contract number now. All of a sudden his contract balloons to $19 million. He had that balloon payment, the poison pill as they call it in his contract when he was offered a contract by the Nets when he was a restricted free agent. It ballooned from $5 to $19 million basically, and he also has a trade kicker that throws it up at least another $1 million. Dion Waiters is also under contract at about $12 million a year. So they've got guys there. Are they willing to move them, and can they move them is the question.
Let me ask you guys this. I love Carmelo Anthony's. Look, he's had a great career. He won a national championship with Syracuse as a player.
He'll go to the Hall of Fame.
All right. Right now, in this moment in time, you're trying to win an NBA championship. Pat Riley wants to win one without the big three. You know, without the quote-unquote star player. Can you win a championship with Carmelo Anthony today, with his game today, where it is today? Defending and playing a significant role.
Well, he's certainly a liability on defense, I think, at this stage of his career. I mean, that goes with any guy in his mid-30s, basically, Seth. But he will get more volume of shots. If that's what he's interested, Miami will be the place where he can get his offensive game back on track, something he felt like maybe he didn't get enough of an opportunity at Oklahoma City.
I think Miami, George, and you correct me if I'm wrong, will be leaning heavily in this whole approach to the possibility of Carmelo on Dwayne Wade. They know each other very, very well. Wade may be telling Carmelo what he can expect in Miami, and vice versa. Telling Miami brass what they can expect from Carmelo, and there may be some discussion there too.
What about Chris Paul, though? I mean, Chris Paul's going to be the guy that's going to distribute the ball.
Yeah, Chris Paul
Chris Paul's powerful in this thing right now, don't you think?
Yeah, agreed. Chris Paul is very vocal, and as Seth pointed out, Houston is close to a championship. But does Carmelo Anthony want to be the third player on the team, the third guy on a team again? He didn't necessarily love it, it seemed like, in Oklahoma City. Might be a little different because he'd be playing with his friend, Chris Paul, he's known forever. But we'll see. Dwayne Wade will have some say in this potentially, but I think this will be a Pat Riley versus Daryl Morey situation.
Thank you very much, George. Miami gets its first win, 98-90 at the Summer League, and we'll see tomorrow what the pairings are going to be. All 30 teams going for the Summer League championship.
I thought Bam Adebayo was terrific, don't you think? He was absolutely terrific today.
Grayson Allen had some highlights as well, passing, dunking, moving without the ball, defending. Adebayo with 24 points, 9 boards, and 2 blocks. Diamond Stone with 17 points and 7 boards, and Grayson Allen also with 17 points and 7 boards. We have games galore. The action doesn't finish today as we see the Memphis Grizzlies get ready to play the Sacramento Kings. For George Sedano and Seth Greenberg, this is Albert Martin. Thanks for joining us. The Summer League continues on ESPN.